Hi, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, thanks for joining me. If you love badass Tom Ford fragrances, you're gonna love this. Let's dive in to Black Lacquer. Black Lacquer is a brand new release in the Tom Ford Private Blend collection, one of my favourite all-time lines of fragrances. I love most of the private blends, really strong releases. The only thing about Tom Ford Private Blend is they're expensive, and all the designer fragrance reviews you see on this channel, I buy the fragrances. I never get sent designer fragrances. That includes Tom Ford's. So the previous private blend releases of Ebene and Mystery Myrrh, I love them, but I don't have them because they're just so pricey, including this new release of Black Lacquer, which is retailing at £300 for 50 ml. I actually came close to pulling the trigger on this. I saw the notes and I thought this is a fragrance that I think I will love. I love the dark, brooding, badass fragrances full of attitude, and this one looks like it was gonna be all those things. I almost bought it and then I stopped myself and thought, you know what, that's a lot of money. I'm just gonna see if I can get a sample. So I popped into my local friendly Tom Ford retailer, which is Phoenix Department Store. Thank goodness they had samples. I know them there, and they didn't just give me one sample, they gave me 3 samples. So I've got a whole 6 ml of Black Lacquer to work with here. I've given this a few wearings now, so let me share my thoughts, but first let's take a look at the notes. Ink, vinyl, rum, black pepper, ebony wood, peony, elemi, apricot and olibanum. And let's take a little moment to appreciate this gorgeous bottle. I love a bit of stealth, and that black on black just looks so good. Loving this one. When I saw this released, I thought I want this to be an impactful statement making fragrance. I want this to sweep me away in all that when I spray it, and it absolutely does. I sprayed this on straight away. I was just entranced by the intensity of it, the darkness of it, the mysterious brooding quality. It was all the things I wanted it to be. This smells great. What I got when I first sprayed this was dark, smoky woods. It really draws you in, and it's not a challenging smoke at all. It's a slightly sweet, warming, woody type of smokiness, so it's a wearable smokiness. Maybe not wearable for everyone, but it's not an out and out, straight up, ashy, hard to wear smoke. This is a really nice, rounded, sweet, dark, woody smokiness. So that's the opening, loved it. And then in the dry down, things just round out a little bit more. It becomes a little warmer, a little sweeter, but you still have that bite, you still have this attitude in there. I think it's coming from the incense, from the myrrh, from the resins, and it just gives it this strong, solid, impactful, punchy, dark base. And after a few hours, it really settles into this resinous quality. It really reminded me of Middle Eastern perfumery. It's sort of an amouage type of smell with all that myrrh, all the resins. So big Middle Eastern vibes with this scent, and I love it for that. Whilst this smells unique and different, and it doesn't really smell exactly like anything else in the Private Blend collection, it does have this recognizable Tom Ford signature smell to it. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's something that is impactful and statement making. I recognize something similar in Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud. I'm not sure if it's the incense or the resins, but there's just some deep, dark, strong smell within the base, I think, of the fragrance that reminds me a little bit of Tobacco Oud. Almost a little bit animalic, but not quite as animalic as in Tobacco Oud. And overall, it does smell different because we've got the whiskey in this. So Tobacco Oud to me is a little bit stronger. I think it's projecting more, and it's slightly more energized because of the whiskey in it. So it is a little lighter. Tobacco Oud isn't as dark and intense and brooding, but it is overall a little louder in its projection. But the darker elements of Tobacco Oud, I do recognize similarities in Black Lacquer. I've touched on performance there a little bit when comparing it to Tobacco Oud, and it isn't as strong, it isn't as loud, it's not projecting as widely, I don't think, as that fragrance, but it still has pretty decent performance. It is a little closer to the skin than Tobacco Oud, but you are gonna get some projection if people come within your sort of immediate vicinity. They're definitely gonna smell this fragrance. It's well done because it is strong and impactful, but it's not obnoxious. It's not a room filler. It's not going to announce your arrival before you get into a room. You are just going to carry this smell with you in your immediate vicinity. So some projection, but just not massive. Good longevity though. This stays on the skin for all day. Hours and hours. This isn't going to go away anytime soon. It's not that versatile. I don't think there are that many situations or times when you would choose to wear this fragrance, but sometimes that is good because the times that you do choose to wear it, it is perfectly suited. This is definitely not just an everyday casual wear. For me, this is a dressed up sort of fragrance, an event fragrance. Maybe I'm wearing a leather jacket. I would probably wear this in the evenings in autumn and winter. Definitely not a casual summertime fragrance, but that's probably why Tom Ford have timed the release for just the beginning of autumn, because I think it will be perfect in autumn and winter. So if you wake up one day in autumn and winter and you feel like throwing on a leather jacket and being a bit of a badass, you know, giving off some badass vibes, bit of attitude, then this is the one. Now, this doesn't smell like Amouage's Interlude 53, but I think it has similar uses. That fragrance is quite impactful, it's quite dark, it's strong, but it's not got a huge projection, not as big as the original Interlude. It's a little more reined in, a little more dialed back. And Black Lacquer is kind of doing a similar thing. It's strong, but not obnoxious, and that's great. With all that being said, I do love these darker fragrances, scents like Black Afghano, fragrances that are dark and brooding. Not everyone loves those scents, so you do want to sample this before you buy it. I'm sure it's going to be pretty readily available to sample in store. Give it a try, give it a couple of wearings if you can before you commit to pulling the trigger on this, because the price is pretty high. You're going to want to carefully consider whether you spend £300 on 50 ml of this. In the end, I'm glad that I didn't buy this for full retail, because whilst I really enjoy it and I think it's an excellent release, I don't think it's blown my mind quite enough to warrant spending full retail. But if I could pick this up further down the line, maybe a partial, or maybe it'll get on a discounter website at some point, then I think I definitely would, because I think it's a great fragrance. I really enjoy it. But for me, 300 for 50 ml is just a little bit too much. But if you like dark, intense fragrances that are a little bit badass, then definitely check this one out. Generally, Tom Ford private blend releases are pretty strong, and I think this one continues that. All right, that's it on this one for me. If you've got any more questions about this fragrance, pop them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this video, if you found it useful, you know what to do. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.